Good afternoon and welcome back to the St. Clair College Sportsplex here in beautiful Windsor, Ontario. The 2023 OCAA Men's Basketball Championships unfolding here on We Digital Productions. Hello everybody, my name is Dominic Papa and we're getting ready for our second quarterfinal game, our second of 4 broadcasts. The first one just ending about 20 minutes ago. You saw the Humber Hawks, the defending national champions, fall to the Mohawk Mountaineers 93-81. A very entertaining game. I'll tell you what, the score, maybe not indicative of that game. It was a lot tighter than a 12-point victory, but Mohawks certainly the better team and deserving of the victory. They move on to the semifinal round. They're awaiting their opponent for tomorrow. That'll be the winner of our next game here. It's the Niagara Knights coming into this game at 11-7. They are coached by Phil Mosley, the fifth-year head coach. They're taking on the Eastern Conference champions. That's the George Brown Huskies. This Huskies team is simply remarkable. The Huskies 17-1 this season. They're on a 16-game winning streak coming in to the championships here. Jason Dawkins is the fourth-year head coach for the Huskies. He's done an outstanding job with this program. I still think this is going to be an exciting game. I still think it's going to be tight. The George Brown Huskies are the only team from the Eastern Conference being represented here at this tournament. Tells you about the depth of the Western Conference. Niagara Knights, despite being 11-7, have played some outstanding games this season. Their competition level has been outstanding all year. We'll see as the tournament goes on if that factors in here with some of the games, especially with George Brown. Again, you don't want to take away from them being 17-1, but you just wonder about the level of competition and if that comes into play at some point during these games. We're just about set for the opening tip, so I'm going to throw it out to our voice of the We Digital production crew, Justin Prince, with all the action.
Hello everyone and welcome once again to Windsor, Ontario for today's coverage of quarterfinal action. The OCAA. Today, it's George Brown taking on Niagara, and what is a big matchup for these two teams. Big matchup for these two programs in turn. Keep in mind, when it comes to George Brown and their consistency coming in, 17 straight victories entering the postseason, 17-1 was the regular season record. Compare that to Niagara, 11-7 coming in. They look to try and do well with Caden Stewart starting alongside Kenan Lamond. Then it's Reggie Williams and Simon Ricketts-Ewan along with Deloy Grandison, the starting 5 today for the Knights. The Knights wearing their dark blue jerseys, the white and light blue jerseys of George Brown, led today by Rob Ocampo, Jacob Masters, and Chris Fields. Then it's Derek Taylor once that starting lineup grouping, as well as Nassim Berry. Rounding at the 5 today is DM Bitu Komesu as the starters today when it comes to George Brown. Both teams working quickly as they get ready to go. Today's officials for this matchup, Mark Zelenik along with Quizzy Maloney, and then it's Dave Carnia, the officiating crew for this quarterfinal. Both teams ready to take to the court. It's George Brown, it's Niagara, and it's now here on We Digital. DMB2 Komesu sets up in the jump circle, facing off against Ricketts-Ewan. We're underway from Windsor, and immediately we're underway with a shot no good from Chris Fields. Quick whistle within the first 10 seconds. This time it goes against Ocampo to start off the fifth-year seniors quarterfinal, the first personal in the first 7 seconds. The Knights set up for the first possession. Looking to move forward now on the high side. Ricketts-Ewan stripped away. Taken up by George Brown. Off the pass intended for Ocampo. It goes for Nassim Berry. Barry starts off the scoring with a contested shot. Knights get double teamed on the pass across. Popped around and stolen away. Down for the size up Taylor. Moved outside for three, no good. Shot attempt from Fields. 2-zip early on in the first quarter as the ball is tapped out of bounds and goes the other way. George Brown with the early advantage so far. Down coming from Ocampo. Taken up by Fields. Fields moved around to the corner. Barry baseline. Barry fade back, no. Ripped down. Kumesu stripped away. Trying to trigger the jump for the moment with Grandison. Taken up. Williams. Avoiding trouble. Knocked out of bounds. And signal the other direction. Still looking again on the scoreboard in the early going to this one. George Brown, keep in mind, strong scoring team in the East. Third best in points per game, 95.7 in the regular season. And another whistle. It's the second Niagara personal. This time it is Caden Stewart. Rather, second total personal, one for side. Now works his way now for the drive. Stripped away again. Taken up by Marnd. Now over Williams. To the corner. Travel called. And Niagara still yet to find a bucket. Or does it come in? There it is. On the double pump. George Brown outscored their opponents on average in the East this season by at least 25 points. 95-70 the difference, points for and against. Second chance opportunity. The cut, no good. Ocampo again. Pass off the back of Barry. Taken up by Taylor. Ocampo as he steps on the line. That's something that can pop up here. In the early years of the Sportsplex, the green line had a constant 1 to 3 plays with the player stepping out of bounds down the sidelines the first times in this facility. That has gone down over the past 5 years. Now, down to the baseline, Grandison, good. Dwight Grandison hits the jumper. Team's leading scorer and a rebounder on the board, 2-all. Joel Campo going for the post fade, rolls it in. The 6'2" guard from Toronto with the bucket. Grabbing a break ahead of a half-court trap. Grandison takes a three, misses the three. Picked up by Taylor. Around Fields. Fields looking to draw some traffic around. Screen set up top Taylor. Taylor tries to roll in camp. Move for Barry. Barry off a pump. And another inbound signal. Ricketts Ewan caught for the blocking foul, his first. First substitutions of the game being signaled for. Mark Taylor comes in for Ricketts Ewan. Also coming in now for George Brown. Cal Campbell. Cal Campbell gets it. Gives it over to Campo. Around the outside, Barry. They want the three. They make the three. A 7-2 George Brown run in the first 3+ minutes. Half-court trap in effect again. Get it across the timeline to Grandison. Then moved over. Play around the outside still. This is Stewart. On the jump shot, Williams makes it fall to break the run. Nice faithful getting the noisemakers out. Campbell getting active on the play call. Bounce over to Barry. Zipper screen set by Blair. Barry now handed back over to Campbell. Back inside traffic. Kumesu on the outside. Ocampo just grazes the rim, doesn't matter, out of bounds. More substitutions coming in. Fields back in. Jeremiah Brown also coming in. Once the changes. Meanwhile, for Niagara, they will bring in Ethan Alieno Dela Cruz. Alieno Dela Cruz, last time he entered this building, some memorable performance, to say the very least. First-year guard from Mississauga. On the base, Grandison doesn't draw the rim. Rebound out of bounds. Last touch by George Brown. Grandison, main scoring option throughout the campaign. Now see Larmond go in, make it in. A 7-all game, 5 straight points by the Knights. Response back, trying to draw contact, gets it. Fields on the drive. And 2 free throws coming up after Alieno Dela Cruz's first personal. 3rd team foul for the Knights. So that brings George Brown to the line for the first time. 11th free throw percentage in the province, 66% as a unit. Chris Fields about 71% around the average. Fields misses, tap in, no good. Grandison there for the board. Taken back up by the Knights for Taylor. The outside on the extra pass. Larmond looking to spin back on the fade, doesn't drop. Back up by Barry. Barry, 6'8", looking to size it in. No, put back dunk, no good. Branson there again on the box out. Knights trying to break the D. Instead, they nearly break the play. Williams forced to set one up. Dela Cruz moves to the far side. Lamont now moves up to the top. Now on the drive. Big pass. And contact drawn for the free throw. That time with the contact, it's Barry, his first. Team second. That will bring in Derek Taylor. Knights for the first time to the free throw line. A team that had a lot of close matchups with their 11-7 squad. 3-point difference on the point differential on the average throughout the campaign. As a matter of fact, they've won 7 of their past 10 games entering the tournament. First is good. Tied at 8. Just past halfway in the first quarter. Watching We Digital for OCAA Men's Basketball Championship coverage, the quarterfinal day. As both free throws drop. Keeping it slow tempo, Campbell. Over for Fields. He's going for motion with Campbell. For the pump, back around, Campbell. Watches the floater, doesn't go. Tap out, picked up on the second chance. Campbell back with it. And a whistle called. Back the other direction. Foul is against Campbell. Team third, his first. Again, the defense setting up for the trap. Broken quickly. Motion Williams. Grandison comes up for the top. Just stands there. On the soft screen is good. Williams. Ball knocked into the grandstands for a quick stoppage. Several of the coaches watching along in the stands, and several of the Saints players, in fact, for their matchup later today. More substitutions coming in. This is Kenneth Ruckley Jr. Also into the game, Tyrell Taylor. He'll now run the point. With Jeremiah Brown. Brown with the Tyrell Taylor. Moved now around Condre Campbell. Watches the three. No good. Picked up a second chance, Derek Taylor. 3 on the shot clock. Has to get it off. Just beating the shot clock. Just draining it in is Campbell. 11-10 Niagara. Coming up to 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. Side, Grandison, the three, drops it. They sail on to a foot on the line. Quick bucket from Grandison. Grandison 4 points so far. Off the pump. Jeremiah Brown. Watch it looped over. Back it off with it. Derek Taylor now on the drive. This is Andre Burrow. Andre Burrow able to pass it back. Rims out on the three of the shot clock. Grandison again on the rebound. And just about all the boards picked up by him so far for Niagara. Knights looking for the charge forward. Wheeltower Cruz can't get a roll. Jump quick by George Brown. Contested. Good. Derek Taylor. Derek Taylor, his first 2 points today. Now the Knights bring it back up. And a time clock violation, taking their time up the court. Reggie Williams, a second too long. And more substitutions as a result. Marquise Laracaston wants those in from Windsor. Also, George Brown bringing Jacob Masters in. Your platoon substitutions, in fact, with Raheem Barty also amongst those in. Brown on the cut. Rejected. Taylor. Or takes it up himself. Draws contact, and Taylor will go to the line to shoot for two. That goes against Campbell, his second. Puts him in foul trouble in a team four. Barrow coming in. George Brown already thinking fast break as they set up for the free throw opportunity. The first one, no good this time. Greg Anderson, the main standout for Niagara squad this season, a second-team All-Star as that one rolls in. Moved up by Campbell. He stays in despite the foul trouble. The pass to no man's land, but Niagara knocks it out of bounds. Let's take a quick glance if we can. You see how it's slowly brought up. Reckley Jr. is the one to tap it. Watch. Tries to pass behind the back, thinking someone was their baseline. Reckley nearly steals it instead, gives George Brown the possession back. 2:10 to go in the first quarter. What's been a weird one? On the cut, the drive, high up on the glass is good. Barrow. Back up and a whistle. Stort draws contact. Barrow. And that puts Niagara into the bonus. The remainder of this first quarter. All, under 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. First one is good. And that one also drops, 16-14. And back into the game comes Ocampo. And an issue with the game clock. The game clock did not start in time, so they have to re-inbound. And they'll reset the shot clock from that. So a quick stop as a result of that sequence. Trying to set up George Brown. Looking around the cut. Back outside for the shot. For the baseline. No good. Jeremiah Brown. Ball knocked out of bounds. Flipped over the script. Knights take over the possession once again. Niagara has a group led by Phil Mosley, his fifth year at the helm. for movement. Lino De La Cruz hands it back off. De La Cruz gets it back. Pass to the traffic. It's good. Ticky-tack to Bear Barty. Up by 4. Off the quick bounce pass. Ocampo, corner, Trey, no good. Up by Barty. Looking to go around to open the lanes. Drown stripped around. Kept around for Niagara basketball. Barty last to touch it for Niagara's side at least. Off the inbound, Stewart. Back away from double team, gets a single team instead, still misses it with a defensive contest. Back up for Fields, back to Ocampo. Campbell passes out of a double himself. Now Derek Taylor, pass back around. Derek Taylor for the 3, no good. Inside picked up by Reckley. De La Cruz. Gonna slow down the clock. About a 13 or 14 second difference, shot clock and game clock. Pass to the corner. Laura Caston, welcome back to Windsor. The Knights now up by their largest margin, 7 points. Shot clock off. 7 seconds to go in the first quarter. Brown sets it up. Outside, Ocampo from the moon, no good. And after starting off with a 7-2 George Brown run, Niagara finishes off with a run of their own, up by 7, 21-14 after 10 minutes of play. You're watching We Did It All.
For every big breath, for every little breath, and for every breath in between, Ontario Power Generation is committed to keeping Ontario's air clean. That's why the power we generate is 99% free of smog and carbon emissions. Because clean air matters to us all.
Did you know that the most severe injuries in our region are motor vehicle crashes? 65% of road fatalities last year were directly the result of distracted driving. 90% of injuries arriving in our emergency rooms are preventable. Our message to you this summer is, put down the phone. Just drive. Let's work together to keep our trauma stretchers empty.
What can milk do? Well, it can turn you into a morning person. It can help fuel some pretty tough stuff. And it can definitely make cartoons funnier.
No, it can't.
Oh, well, it can have a little edge. But come on, even kiddies love it. It'll keep up with you at any age. It makes engines whir and creme brulee creamy. It's one of the easiest labels you'll ever read. And anything that makes this happen is pretty special. In fact, what can't milk do?
This is the hardware these two teams want to pick up by the end of the weekend. So far, Niagara up by 7, led in part by DeRoy Grandison, who led the way for the Knights in the regular season in points, 275 total points, 15.3 points per game in the matchup so far today. 4 points, 5 rebounds, all defensive. One with 50% shooting from the field. Team starts off with the ball with him on the bench. Back it away in the second. Starting things off the cut, Barty. And back the other direction. Ocampo drawing the contact. Barty's first. Now, one thing to mention when it comes to George Brown, they picked up several award winners. Chris Fields and Jeremiah Brown amongst those notable. Jeremiah Brown, the 6th man of the year and 2nd team All-Star. Watch the shot not fall. Second chance picked up. Chris Fields, Defensive Player of the Year in the East. Gives it to Ocampo, the first team All-Star for the bucket. (21-16), just approaching 1 minute into the second quarter here on We Did It All. On the floater, it's good. Party. Back and forth for Fields. Fields off the pass from Ocampo. Move back to Ocampo, move back around. On the bounce, Jeremiah Brown. Now with it again is Derek Taylor. 4 on the shot clock. Fields down to 2. Pass to the corner for the 3. Hits the side of the backboard. Jacob Masters on the attempt. And another substitution or two being triggered as a result of the miss. For the first time today, Naz Robert comes in. Joining them on the court will be Barrow. See a look as one more. Sets up, that's Larmont. Larmont lined up with Taylor. Joined by Williams on the court. Joined by Laura Caston. Third-year player from Windsor. Grandison on the court now, rounding up the 5. Looking for the Euro, no good. Bounce back, who touched it? It says George Brown ball, and now the officials will confer on that. And it looks like, yes, they will flip that around to give Niagara the ball. Back at their end of the court with a fresh 14. Take a look as that did hit, it appeared, the back of a George Brown Husky. Timeout called right before the inbound and before the made shot. And now they'll take a timeout. So timeout on the floor, 23-16 Niagara. Both teams wanted it. Troy Grandison wanting the chance to move forward here. Wants those, rather, that is not the right name there. That is in reference to Jeremiah Brown, the 6th man of the year we talked about in terms of the stat line with 220 points, 12 points per game. But mention this, that's from the bench. Leading the way on the starting lineup in that same tally was Derek Taylor with 12.2 points per game. So 2 solid scores, a third when you throw in Ocampo this campaign. It's been a very team-oriented, focused George Brown squad. Looking at the officials as things get cleaned up before they start things back up with a 7-point advantage for the Knights. Niagara looking to see if they can develop more points like they did at times in the season. They were 10th best in scoring, yes. But they did have 3 major statistical standouts. They limited turnovers, they stole the ball, they blocked the ball a lot. And now they start with the ball after the timeout, 8:24 to go. And they step out from the baseline on the inbound. Another sloppy play. And the inbound goes full court. Fields given to Ocampo for 3. No. Picked up again by Larmont. Move to the corner. Taylor. Off the pass. It's Williams for 3. No. Taken back up by the Huskies. For the size up and travel. Barrow. Jason Dawkins' squad, another turnover. And another substitution for Niagara's side. The Stewart coming in for Laura Caston. Offense taking its time to square up this time. Off the juke, the drive, the block, Fields. Pass to Fields, intercepted by Grandison. Grandison gets separation for the putback. Moved up quickly, meanwhile, by Fields. Grandison squares up and sets up inside the paint. On the drive, contact, foul on the floor, Nas Robert. Robert picks it up. Grandison right around the edge of the restricted area with the personal, his first. His team's second personal as well in the quarter. And when it comes to Robert, 9 games appeared in the regular season. This makes the first 2. Or only a 58% free throw shooter. The big thing, though, he was a part of that double-digit scoring club. 10 points per game off the bench. Second's good. And another substitution. Very quick changes. Nazim Berry coming in. We're seeing the full court pressure. Lots of contact off the ball. No whistle. That opens up an open seam. Stewart gets boxed off. Grandison. Set off to Stewart. To Larmond. Join the jab. Grandison. Pick and fade. Trying to pass it away to him. Good. Taking the 3 with 3 on the shot clock from deep. No good. Second chance. It's good. Williams. Reggie Williams having a day so far. Approaching double-digit points in the half. Fields. Up on the switch. Now it's Ocampo. Jumper, no good. Rebounded by the Knights. Bounce pass to Taylor. Carroll from the baseline. Passes it off the backboard. Maybe, yes, there's the whistle. So that took a different angle from the hit on the bottom of the backboard. And no, you cannot do that. Huskies basketball. Ocampo. To the Fields. Ocampo. 2-3 look. Fields getting acrobatic and grabbing around a Knight. On the way down, Fields with the quick personal. Watch the second part of the play. There, with a pull of the hair. Now substitution, Robert coming out. Back in Berry. Now back in as well is Alina Del Cruz. Spitting. Trying to find some movement with Stewart. Taylor calling for it, doesn't get it. Now spitting in off the front of the rim. Stewart draws the whistle. Our whistle coming against Taylor. His first, team second. So with Stewart at the line, let's talk a bit about Niagara. 6th best in the province in at the stripe, 70.5%. Comes to Stewart, about 61% from this charity stripe. This makes the first 2. Stewart missed 4 games during the campaign, keep in mind. But when he's played, has been someone who takes more than half of Niagara's average minutes. The free throw trip, 29-18. Under 4 minutes, make it under 5 past here in this first half to go. Fields rolls out, everything going ice cold for George Brown. Stewart. Grandison now back to Stewart. Stewart wanting to do it himself. Opens up wide open space for an air ball. Taylor. Back to the other side. Fields contested. Passes out of it. The corner 3 in response is good. That breaks the cold spell for now. Barrow on the triple. With Del Cruz. Back to Larmond. We're working on the set play. Cut it ahead in traffic. Alina Dela Cruz. Looked around on the jumper, quickly working. George Brown, no good from Barry. Back to the other side. Stolen away, no one there. Taylor able to pick it off. Derek Taylor. Down with the pass, baseline again. Looking ahead, now seeing Barry with the bucket. But passing leads to the good bucket. The Knights draw a whistle. Fields up the court for his second. More changes coming in. And a timeout also signaled. Timeout called by Niagara. Despite the advantage. Let's take a look at the previous round. This is the play-in, or rather the crossover round. Let's talk about 7 of these 8 teams who are here today, coming from the West Division. Conestoga knocked off Georgian, for example. Niagara beat Loyalist. Humber beat Seneca. Mohawk beating Algonquin. George Brown picking up the win as the sole Eastern Division team over Redeemer, 102-84. The big upset about all of that, Durham picked up the Coach of the Year honors for their program head, mind you. That coming for Desmond Rowley. And the national nominee from the OCAA. They lost to Lambton 82-76 in the closest of any of the crossover games. Of course, Sheridan being Centennial. Coming out of the timeout, many dignitaries up in the VIP box today. Several of the coaches for St. Clair up there. Now they're back courtside with the other teams. Some of the various players watching along from the sideline, including some of the Humber Hawk players. Seen a loss earlier today on this court. Grandison comes to the long line. Odell Cruz going to move forward over Fields. On the roll, it's good. 10-point lead again for Niagara with 4 minutes to go in the first half of play. Down the baseline, whistle. Barry draws it. Then coming the way of Stewart. Stewart with the second. And Laura Caston again looking to come back in as a result of the personal. 3 team fouls per side with more than 3 minutes to go in the half. And for the quick inbound, Barry passed off. Fields. That quick passes to Barry again for 3. No. Dylan Cruz brings it back up. Dylan Cruz kicks it off. Grandison, a little bit of yo-yo work, can't get it to go. Fields brings it ahead. Thought about it, gives it to Ocampo instead. Trailer 3, no good again. And picked up this time by George Brown on the bounce. Ocampo on the second chance into the shot clock. Fields looking for somebody, takes it himself, misses it again. Williams on the board. Niagara maintaining control so far in this quarterfinal. Williams nearly drawing himself a foul. Instead, he picks up a bucket. Back up quickly. Corner. Trey. Good. Barrow. Owen Barrow getting a shoving match with Leo Del Cruz here. Leo Del Cruz offensive foul on the reaction. And Barrow can do nothing but smile there. There was the initial push, and then the replay seen, and now the substitutions. Barrow, despite his 2 triples in the past couple minutes, coming in. And there is the shove again. Just the personal given for the offensive foul. Barry gives it back around for Masters. Back outside, Barry. Very contested. And Grandison there this time. That's the second personal. Next one puts Niagara over the limit. Grandison coming out as a result of that one. Reckley coming in. 3 nights now with 2 personals so far. This allows George Brown's Barry to set about the strike. Barry working very quick on the motion. Just under 70% shooter. Averages about 11.2 points per game this year. Free throws, 7 points to deficit. Full court press back up, now make it half court. Back over. Still 2, double Cruz. Looking to try and see the motion, Williams. Now move back around again, Dela Cruz. Dela Cruz gives it around. Inside, good, Barty. Pass quickly by George Brown for the travel. Barry. And quickly, Barrow coming back in. It's after a quick breather with Tyrell Taylor. Niagara trying to avoid the trap again. Stolen away instead by Jeremiah Brown. Stolen right back by Barty. Barty. Back now for Williams on the set. Barty. High screen. Tight play. No good. On board, Derek Taylor. Taylor pass to the corner. Barrow away from his hot spot. Kickball violation, and they'll go back the other direction. See right there is off the red part of the shoes. Now change. Taylor out. Masters back in. Check that. Campbell back in. Bit of a blown tire for a moment. Double team. Happen to get it across the timeline. They do. Dela Cruz watches, passes, picks up the N1 bucket directly, Jr. Reckley Jr. draws the N1. As that personal goes against Nazim Barry, his second. More changes. Ocampo Munsto's back in. Now Reckley Jr. is ready to set back up as back into the game comes in Lamont. Already 4 players set back, 2 per side for the upcoming attempt. A 47% shooter from the line. That's why. Instead, slow tempo taken up by the Huskies. Masters tries to pass, top plate. Oh, Campo good. Coming up to the final minute of the first half, knocked out of bounds, stays Niagara basketball. Been a very chippy one. This is where that came in. You see the reach from Derek Taylor and the timeout taken. Niagara with their final timeout of the first half of play. George Brown with 1 remaining. Let's take a look at the Niagara Knights stat lines. They were not a major scoring team, as in they attempted around the mid-pack and shots. They made around the mid-pack and the field goal percentage 14th best. In turn, that led to the 10th best scoring offense in points per game, under 82 points. Rebounding, though, as a grouping, has been low. Their margin under 2, negative 14th in the province, in fact. Assists as well, 16th best in Ontario at 13.6. You know what's been strong amongst those, though? The turnovers, as we talked about, the steals and the blocks, all in the top 5, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th, respectively. The free throw percentage also 6th best, as mentioned before. But it's also a team that, even then, Strong defensively. They only allowed 78 points per game in the regular season, 6th best in the OCAA. A look back at some of the Mohawk Mountaineers. They look to see who their opponents will be tomorrow. Some of the various members, in fact, of Galora fan club still sitting along with now their family members who were in the game before. Stripped away after the inbound, the drive, it's good. Derek Taylor with the heads-up play. Nearly stripped again. Now on the cut, the drive, Williams back outside. Larmon, 3, rims out. Picked up on the rebound, Masters. Masters give it off again to Taylor. Derek Taylor feeds it back to Campbell. 13 on the shot clock, down to the final minute of the half. On the outside, Campbell moved ahead on the bobble several dozen times and out. Jeremiah Brown with the trouble. 6-second difference shot clock and game clock. And George Brown wants to use their final timeout. To the displeasure, it appears, to Alino de la Cruz. George Brown still trails by 7, 16 regular season wins in a row. It's not a 14-4 record, it's a 17-1 record. They won the crossover game to make it 17 straight. But the third best offense in the province. The rebounds also up there in the top 10. The rebound margin second best though in the province. Just under 6, 5.9 to be precise. The offense, the way it's been clicking, the assists have been strong inside the top 3 in the province. In turn, they've also developed the most steals in the province per game. 16.6. By the way, there's 3-point shooting, top 5 in the East and / province. A funny story about those balloons. They were once on that railing, signifying the difference between the grandstand for general admission and the St. Clair student section. Within 20 minutes, it became a balloon ball pit. And now that young fan has stolen 4 balloons and has ran off to the doghouse. And this is why, if you use balloons as barriers, they'll soon become unofficial ball pits. Down to the final 26 seconds to go in the half. Looking to fly around on the pass, Reckley Jr. On the cut, no good. Reckley Jr. bounces the ball, going back the other direction. 14.3 seconds to go in the half. Shot clock is off. Moved on by Campbell. Tough, quick shot taken for the tray. It's Taylor. Final shot of the half. Reckley Jr. working quick. Off the roll, doesn't go. And at the break, the Knights still hold on to a 4-point advantage. The Huskies closing up a double-digit advantage in the span of a few minutes. Halftime coverage coming up. You're watching We Digital for the Men's Basketball Championship in the OCAA.
What can milk do? Well, it can turn you into a morning person. It can help fuel some pretty tough stuff. And it can definitely make cartoons funnier.
No, it can't.
Oh, well, it can have a little edge. But come on, even kiddies love it. It'll keep up with you at any age. It makes engines whir and creme brulee creamy. It's one of the easiest labels you'll ever read. And anything that makes this happen is pretty special. In fact, what can't milk do? What can
St. Clair
milk do?
College Sportsplex here in Windsor, Ontario. OCAA Men's Championship basketball action taking place here on We Digital. Our second quarterfinal game of the day. It's at the half, and I think some people might call it a little bit of a surprise. Some more knowledgeable people maybe not so surprised. Niagara Knights leading the George Brown Huskies 39-35 after 20 minutes of play. As you saw in our first broadcast, I talked about the many great people that work behind the scenes in putting something like this together. I talked about the many people that come and visit our city, which is great for our city to have these important people to come and spend time in our what I call our beautiful city. And no doubt this gentleman here joining me on the set, he's the convener of OCAA men's basketball, Eric Savage. He comes from the Toronto area. Actually, he's from Humber College.
Yep.
Where that's his full-time gig, right?
Yeah, correct. I work at Humber full-time. I'm the varsity coordinator there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no,
okay. So you're a busy man.
Yes, very busy, but that's good for us, right?
Yeah.
So
tell me about being the convener of OCAA men's basketball.
Yeah, it's a great privilege. I really like it's my third year now. It's really my first full Final 8 tournament because we had the Final 4 last year.
Right.
Basically, it is a lot of work, but you welcome it because I love the sport of basketball. You love seeing the student athletes get to play at this high level, and I feel our league is so strong that we can compete with anyone, and it's just a great privilege. You know, I love watching these tournaments and everything that goes on behind the scenes. It's great. So I'm very excited to be here this weekend.
You're a young man still, Eric,
yeah.
and I talk a lot about, because I'm an old guy, and I always say it's great. I tell a lot of our young athletes, make sure you give back to the sport that gave to you, and I say obviously you're giving back, and that's a great example of what you're doing. So congrats on that.
Thanks.
And certainly it's greatly appreciated because we need young people like yourself just to keep things moving. What's the toughest part of this job?
Toughest part of the job is probably just keeping up to date with the weekly rankings. Just knowing how close the league is. You could have losses at every given week, and the standings goes up and down, right? So it's kind of just adjusting to that. I'd say you're always following it each night. You're following games. You're following the scores. You're kind of just getting feedback throughout the conference because you can't watch every game. But I'd say that's probably the toughest part, and that's the challenge of our league, right? Yeah. It's very strong.
Yeah, the parity in the league has been outstanding this year, for sure. I couldn't argue that with you at all. What must be paramount as well, though, when you talk to your coaches throughout the league, even maybe some of the players, I would imagine you have some dialogue with, but it's always about the player-athlete experience, the student-athlete experience, and that's, I'm sure, an important element to all of this.
Oh, for sure, and I know the athletes get excited about a tournament like this. They get excited to travel. They're excited to play high-quality games, and everyone's watching, right? So I think that's one thing that they get up for, and they are students, right? So they're taking school off. They're coming here to play basketball, but when they go back, they've missed 4 or 5 days. Now they got to catch up. So I really respect the student-athlete, and it's just great to see the high quality of basketball, and I'm glad that St. Clair's put this on, and all the fans are here, and we have 4 good games today. So
yeah, we got 4 great games coming up today. We're in our second one, as mentioned. Talk to me about OCA basketball on a whole, if you can, convener Savage, and tell me, where do you want to see it go? Where does it need to still see some growth?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. We were just talking about that, and obviously coming out of COVID with our numbers, right? Roster sizes, they've went down. It's no surprise, right? So I would like to see more participation in that regard. So a lot of these teams do tryouts in the start of September before their exhibition season starts, and we'd like to see more increased people try out for teams. I think on the men's side, it's still very competitive. I don't think we've lost any of that, but I think the roster sizes we could expand a little bit and make it more competitive for players to make teams, right? Sure. So, and I think that only makes our league stronger. But I think we have a good East and we have a very tough West Conference. And as you'll see throughout the weekend, that's no surprise.
What seems to be evolving a little bit right now, Eric, is you look at this new place here, Sportsplex.
Yep.
I know Algonquin just got a new place. There's a couple other newer places. Hopefully some other ones in the works. But obviously that's vital to bringing in athletes, and it creates an attraction.
Yeah, no, it's a big recruitment strategy. If you have a really nice facility, nice team rooms, a nice court, lots of functional stuff, and great staff that work in those facilities, I think athletes are going to see that, right? So, and it's great that an event like this happens, because when athletes come here in St. Clair, I mean, maybe an athlete will want to transfer here, or maybe they'll tell a friend in high school, and then they'll end up coming. So I think these tournaments bring out a lot of that without people noticing. But this is a beautiful place. Like, it's actually my second time being here and seeing the full setup, and it's fantastic.
The other thing that's evolving is what we're doing right now. Streaming has become a big part of a lot of sports programs. It's not even just in college. We're talking junior athletics. We're talking high school athletics. It's become a cost-effective way of really putting out the competition. Is that something you see expanding and really wanting to help grow?
Yeah, I mean, if you can't be here this weekend, right, you want to stream it. And I think that's definitely expanded even more in COVID. People wanted to watch things, right?
Sure.
But I know the teams here before this game were sending the links to their family and friends. And I think you guys obviously put a really good production on, and I think that's been noticed. But I do see that getting bigger as we go on. And with these tournaments, everyone wants to watch. They call it March Madness, right?
Yeah.
Our own March Madness
Sure.
for a reason. But I can see that getting bigger as we go on.
Yeah, is it something that I think the OCA wants to maybe even take and use to their advantage? If
Oh, for
anyone,
sure.
For marketing, sponsorship, advertising, getting some partners going that way. I mean, it could be a revenue stream.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep. Yeah, no, for sure. And the OCAA as a conference has always done a good job with OCAA Live and getting all these streaming partners on one hub, where a few years ago we didn't have that. So now, obviously, this year it's our second year using OCAA Live, and it's been great. And I think the CCAA in Canada has caught on to helping share our platforms. So it's been good.
Well, you're a man that's on the move, that's for sure.
Thank you.
I appreciate you joining us. I know we're going to get a chance to talk later on this weekend, but congratulations on all this. You're leading a great league, and I wish you continued success with it.
Thanks so much. Thanks for being here.
All right.
Thanks.
That's Eric Savage, the convener of OCA men's basketball, doing a great job with it, that's for sure. We're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, we're going to talk to a real special guy from our community. Everybody knows this guy. I'm not even going to say his name yet because you'll know him when you see him. And we'll continue our halftime report. You're watching OCA Men's Championship Basketball here on We Digital Productions.
Where are you headed?
Just gonna hang out.
If any of your buddies ever pressure you to take a drink, just tell them you promised your dad you wouldn't.
I promise. Love you too, Dad.
They really do hear you. For tips on what to say, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Where are you headed?
Just gonna hang out.
If
In beautiful
any of your
Windsor,
buddies ever
Ontario,
pressure you to
OCA
take a
Men's
drink,
Basketball
just
Championship
tell
action
them you
going on
promised your
here
dad you
on We Digital. Halftime score is Niagara
They
leading
really do hear
George
you.
Brown
For tips on what to say,
39-35
visit
in our second broadcast of the afternoon.
Launch on time express.
Recognize this guy? Of course, everybody does in our city. Mr. Paul Carter, a legend in our city, and just one of the best people you'll ever know if you get the chance to meet this guy and talk to him. He's just an outstanding individual, and great to see you here, Mr. Carter.
Thank you, Dom.
I'm shocked that you're not reffing, though, okay? I have to admit it.
Well,
we got into this a little bit. A little bit of a change going on here.
Yeah, there is a bit of a change.
Yeah. Let me just do this right
Yeah,
now.
they're trying to promote younger officials,
Sure.
and they're
Well, you're only, 29?
Well, I used to be 29.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good thing that they're doing.
Sure.
But, you still need that seasoned official
Absolutely.
to promote and help younger guys coming up. And that's what I try to do locally with, some of the younger officials we have here. Like, I train them and make sure they're doing the things right.
Yeah.
So.
And a lot of people that maybe are just watching or are just fair weather fans, there's a crisis out there. And I'm not talking just in basketball. In hockey and football and baseball and soccer, officials are needed.
Yeah, and I don't know whether it's because of the COVID situation that happened, but not only, like you say, not only in basketball, but all sports, officials are getting turned off by how they're being treated by spectators.
Yeah.
And we've had quite a few instances already this year where people just say, that's not for me.
Yeah.
And until we change that attitude, you're not going to get the younger kids coming up to want to officiate in any sport.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Paul. It's become an interesting situation. It's a situation that has to get addressed. Fans need to understand that a lot of these officials are doing this not to become rich or anything. It's almost because they just love the sport.
That's exactly. They're doing it for the love of the sport.
Yeah.
And if if it keeps happening, there's not going to be any sports.
Can't have a game without a ref.
Yeah, high schools is a good example.
Yeah.
The number of instances that we've had this year, we haven't had that many in the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's too bad because it's, basketball is a great game.
Sure is.
But
sure is.
You got to treat it with respect and treat the officials with respect.
Yeah.
So,
what's the toughest part for a young official to understand, Paul?
I go back to the spectators.
Yeah.
Not having rabbit ears, being able to set aside, like friendships. Like you might have a coach that you've been friends with all your life. Now you're an official, and he's going to come at you from a different angle now. So you got to try and set that aside and treat it as the game as it should be treated.
Okay, you've been doing this forever, Paul.
Quite a few years.
Yeah, and you've been fabulous. You've been one of the best and most consistent officials. I don't ever remember seeing anybody have a beef with you, to be honest with you. But what's the secret to that? I mean, you tell us it's the fans. You got to kind of find a way to block them out. But obviously, if a young official gets involved, he's interested. He wants to make a few extra bucks. I mean, it's a good way to make a few extra bucks. What the growth and the plan, I guess, learning from a guy like you, obviously that's where I would go. I'd say, okay, I want to work with Paul because you've got it. What's kept you in it for so long?
The kids. I did a grade school game. I've been doing grade school all along, and that's where it starts. And you see these kids in grade school, then you see them in high school, and then you see them in college. So the kids is what keeps me involved in it, and it keeps you young. I mean, I like to have fun.
Yeah.
I like to be approachable, but in the same token, I like to be respected. So you respect me, I'll respect you, and that's been my approach throughout my whole refereeing career.
Seems to have worked pretty good for you.
Yeah.
If we can, Paul, we got a minute and a half here or so. Being that you're the president of the Windsor and District Basketball League, let's give a shout out to that. Where can kids get involved? Where can people get some information? And is there some type of clinics that go on, things like that?
Contact me.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll probably start something. Last year we ran some clinics out of Hoopology on Walker Road. And from that I had 14 people come out, and of that 14, 8 of them have stayed on.
Awesome.
So, which is because normally you get maybe 1 or 2 that want to stick around, but we were really fortunate with the class we had last year.
Much needed, I would imagine.
Yes.
And they're making a few extra bucks.
But again, if you're doing it for the money, you're doing it for the wrong reason. You got to do it for the kids.
Yeah. The kids and the love of the game.
Yeah.
Kids and the love of the game. What do you think of this so far?
This has been, I tell you, these kids are athletic.
Unbelievable.
They are so athletic.
I tell people a lot of time, OCA is almost a hidden gem.
It is.
I hate
agree
to
100%.
say it that way because it shouldn't be.
But you look at every team here, every kid on every team has more athleticism than you've ever seen.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's such a great caliber.
I love it. I love it.
Well, you're here for the weekend? You're going to take in a few games?
I might be.
I hope so. We love seeing you around, that's for sure. And I don't get a chance to talk to you much. I see you at the games, but you're always working. So this has been a blessing and a bonus for me.
I appreciate you asking me to come on. I really appreciate it.
It's great. And good luck with that. And let me know if there's anything I can do to help with any of the basketball clinics, stuff like that. We should talk.
Yeah, I definitely have. I have your information anyway, so I'll let you know.
All right. Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
The great Paul Carter. What a great guy. What a great ambassador for his sport. A quick timeout, and we're going to come back. We're going to look at some stats, and we'll get ready for the second half. This is OCA men's basketball on We Digital Productions.
Niagara shooting 48% in that first half. That says a lot as the major difference mark between those two teams. How about that free throw mark as well? 4 for three-point mark, 4 for 17 for George Brown. back underway. Rickens Ewan watches as it's stolen away after the pass to Stewart. Down to the drive and back the other way. Quick offensive mark, initially signaled. Now it's Taylor on the personal, Derek Taylor. Now when it comes to how things played out in that first half in turn, right, leading the way for Niagara, Reggie Williams, 11 points. In that first half, on 3 rebounds. 6 of the boards picked up by Grandison. Game high as well. Grandison gets the ball. And double-double watch with 6 points, make it 8. The Knights led by as many as 12 points in that first half, mind you. George Brown still yet to get a player in double-digit points. On the drive, the cut, it's good. Change that to Nazim Berry in double digits. Moved up after a couple jukes by Williams. It's around Grandison. High post. To back up. Rolled back. Moved up. Hitting the jumper. (43-37). Size up with the jumper. It's good. Nazim Berry. 4 points so far for Berry in the second half of play. 43-39 Knights. Just past 90 seconds into the third quarter play here on We Digital. Grandison. Misses the shot. Rebound picked up by Fields. Moved up by Berry. On the Euro. Dropped out. Knocked out. Berry not happy. Berry thought the potential of the personal. Instead, George Brown keeps the ball. Here is where that came. About there. 60 on the shot clock. They'll flip it to Niagara basketball. Trying to inbound it. Larmont steals it. And another quick whistle. Ocampo. And Niagara will do it again. Armand, personal. Now it's George Brown on the inbound with Fields. And Brown for Berry. Outside is Fields. Fields the baseline. Pass back around Ocampo and a whistle. Again, baseline coming. 6. The shot clock at the time of the whistle. That goes against Williams, his first personal. 2 quick team personals. Working around the corner, Campbell trying to open up after the inbound. Now it's given to Berry. Fields again. 10 on the shot clock. Fields moved over to the corner. Campbell, 3, no good. On the board by Stewart. Back over to Larmont. And no good. And now whistles raise again. 2 free throws signaled. Blocking foul is the signal. Campo's given his second personal. Team second. When it comes to Larmont so far today, pretty quiet. 2 points, 1 for 4 shooting, 4 rebounds for that trip. And when it comes to his campaign, double-digit score, about 11 points per game, 41% from the field. 22-23. The trip, 45-39. Campo passes it away. Brown by Berry. Brown again, Fields. Fields. Back around for the pump. Berry, jumper, no good. Brown picked up by Ricketts Ewan. Moved up for Williams. Looking to size around and stow it away. Barry with Campbell. Pass to the corner of Campo. Back with Taylor. Screen set on the slip for Barry. Taylor no good on the shot. Ocampo fights forward. Jump ball signaled on both sides of the floor. That will stay. George Brown opportunity. Look at the separation there and watch Ocampo right there off the bounce. Now it's Robert now in as there's a look at some of the young coaches and their children in the stands. It's Coach Miles specifically as that one's blocked. Grandison moved up by Larmond. Now with Stewart. Grandison off some of the pumps, move back. Outside of Williams, three, no good. And the ball picked up by Nazim Berry. And another personal. Williams is second. Team third. Coming into the game as a result of that stoppage, Mark Taylor. Ricketts Ewan has seen minimal time much of this matchup. Keep in mind, 4 minutes in the first half alone. Down low, Ocampo, post hook, good. Slowly but surely, it's grinding down that gap. Coming in within 4 minutes, down in the third, tapped out of bounds to Grandison. Niagara stays with the basketball with 15 on the shot clock. It's been difficult to score buckets, it seems, in this third quarter in particular. Both teams shooting below 50%. George Brown as a whole, 32. That one out of bounds, back the other direction. Williams not able to hold on to it. By Fields. Nick Campbell. Barry. Back to Ocampo. And we know which way to go. And now it's back the other way. Another turnover built in there. Very difficult to score. 6 points for George Brown so far in more than 4 minutes. 6 points for Niagara. Grandison, offensive foul. And he's got a third personal. Watch Grandison, first things first, tied up, going to the high post. Watch there, feet planted. Somebody looking for something in terms of making a bucket. Fields. And outside, Robert. Back with Fields. Fields avoids the travel. Campbell breaks the smother. Down baseline again. No good. Second chance was someone on his back. Barry trying to shoot it. Draws contact regardless. But that's a way to try and get something going. There's the replay of the miss, but watch the acrobatics here. This is Larmond on his back. So Larmond called for the personal because, yeah, his second. The first one's good. Robert, so far, all his points coming from the stripe, essentially. It's both drop. More substitutions. Another change. This is Marquise Lorick-Haston. Also back in, Ethan Alino De La Cruz. De La Cruz breaking forward. On the cut, Taylor, no good. Taylor falls to the front row. Here comes Fields. Pass to Alino De La Cruz, sizing up, no good. Second chance, no good. But draws contact. Another whistle for Laura Caston this time. His first personal. And now into the bonus. George Brown with a chance to tie it. First one's good. Second's good. And we're tied at 45. 5 minutes to go in the third. Taylor. And got it in. Showed a look at a full court trap. Now move to half court. Getting across the timeline, Taylor. Taylor scrambles. Arms raised for 2 free throws. And a push before the shot. This time it goes to Nazim Berry for a third personal. So the conveyor belt of free throws continues this quarter. More changes. Ocampo coming in with Stewart. Also coming back in now for the front line is Derek Taylor. First free throw drops for Taylor. It comes to Taylor this respective campaign. 50% for the stripe. 4 starts, 17 appearances, 5 points per game. Second's good. Fields now to Campbell. Back to Fields. Or back to Fields on the pump. Getting trapped ahead with the zone. Back outside for the 3. No good again. Robert. Taken up this time along the baseline. Mark Taylor trying to go coast to coast. No good again. Again to the front row for a second time in 2 minutes. Reach avoided by Fields. Outside Ocampo. No one going to help for the 3. It's good. Ocampo gives George Brown the lead with the timeout called. 48-47. Niagara with their first timeout utilized of this half and already can see the verbalizations there. Let's take a look at the West Division standings. This is from the regular season. Keep in mind, or rather the East Division standings. George Brown, the best team in the East Division. Durham, 14-4, knocked out in the crossover round. Seneca, knocked out in the crossover round. Georgian, knocked out in the crossover round. Lewis, knocked out in the crossover round. Centennial, knocked out in the crossover round. Algonquin, knocked out in the crossover round. Amongst the 7 teams from the East who try to battle amongst the playoff spots. St. Lawrence, Fleming, Lacite, bottom spots of the standings. George Brown trying to keep what has turned into a 17-game winning streak going. Find a way to ride the tides to the tourney. The young fans, meanwhile, having fun. What's been a very defensive-filled game. Coming up to 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. 48-47. George Brown. With it, Ethan Leno Dela Cruz. There are my Fields. The pass deflected back. Moved up. Laura Caston has it stolen away. Let's move back to Ocampo. Back again. Back and forth. There's Ocampo. Touch pass on the drive. It's good. Naz Robert. Naz Robert putting in the tough shot yet again. First bucket from the field. Now with it, Elena Dela Cruz. Looking to cut ahead. Tough traffic. Move back. Larbund. Move to the J. Air balls it out of bounds. No good. And now multiple whistles pop. And they'll say the other direction. Where does that come? Watch the shot. There. Fields did get a hand on it. Right hand on the follow through. So Niagara keeps the ball. Officials just clarifying how much time needs to be on the shot clock. Four seconds left for Niagara to get a shot off here, since that did not draw the rim. Look over to the sideline. George Brown direct their defense. After the pass, the drive, the cut, no good. Lino Dela Cruz. Taken forward this time. Derek Taylor, pass away. Campo. But again, Derek Taylor. Back to Campbell. Campbell off the tap to Naz Roberts. Stolen away. Reach, it looks like here. That's going to be Naz Roberts caught for the first personal. That's George Brown's foul to give for the quarter. Their substitution, Jeremiah Brown, the sixth man, coming in as a result here. Points starting to build up after the very slow start to the quarter. Oh, and tapped around like a volleyball. Fields gets it. Down low, Brown. Jeremiah Brown off the back of the defender. Now the officials will discuss this one. Still waiting on the direction of which way this will go in terms of the call. Looks like there may be a signal for bunny ears in the midst of that. No, they'll inbound baseline. It's involving the shot clock is the understanding here. So it is a shot clock scenario here, hence the discussion. So they've moved it to 18 because originally it was moved to 14. Campbell comes up for Masters as a result of stoppage. Jeremiah Brown. Get around again to Campbell. Campbell. Deep three. No good. Grandison. It's around. Not even a squeeze forward and tapped out of bounds. Still George Brown basketball. Very grit and grind this quarter. Fields, inbound, picked up to Derek Taylor. Loop it's Masters. Outside, Jeremiah Brown again. No good again. Now more contact. Down on the court that time was Caden Stewart. 2 free throws signaled for George Brown as a result. That's his third personal. Next one puts them over the limit. Rather, George Brown over the limit. Derek Taylor, 74% from the stripe this season, the lead scorer for George Brown. 12.2 points per game. Derek, keep in mind, a 7 rebound per game player as well. Huskies as the second drops. Another change. Tyrell Taylor coming in. Coming out, Derek Taylor. Moved up by Lino Dela Cruz. Cruz guarded by Fields. Around for Barty. Barty voided the reach. Back to Lino Dela Cruz. And a reach by Fields. That was enough there for the personal. Fields with 3. Both teams now over the limit. Now bring Lino Dela Cruz in. Fields having to come out as a result of the personal as well. First one no good for Lena Del Cruz. Forwarded information from the family during halftime. And in that regard, for having small spasms. Guard. Down on the pass. Out of bounds. No good. Another substitution. Derek Taylor. Grandison. Moved around off the bounce. Williams contested. No good. Poked around again. And again. Back the other direction. Look at the Mohawk Mountaineers. Two of them are happy to be on camera. What can you do when you know there's a camera? Well, you can make a bucket. Barrow makes the bucket. Barrow's been the main source of offense when he's been on the court. 10 points. Keep in mind, Barrow had 10 minutes of play in the first half and had 6 points. 8 points, rather. Grandison, 3, good. And all of a sudden, with the final minute of the quarter coming up, both teams go wakey, wakey. Masters. Off the zipper. Gets it back. Intercepted by Grandison. Moved around on the passes. Looking around on the bounce. The corner. Contact for the 3-point foul. Stewart drawing the contact. That's after Barney just got it off on the pass. Right there on the sweep leg. That's Jacob Masters' first. More substitutions coming in amongst those. Reckley Jr. Or Costin also getting ready to come back into the game. As the first no good. Second's good. Or Costin also coming back in now as a result of that stoppage. He'll come in for Stewart. And it looks like Ocampo running in. Down to the final minute of this third quarter, 54-52. 30 seconds to go. 12-second difference shot clock and game clock make it down to just 3 to 4 seconds. Lena Del Cruz. Slowing it down. Looking for the jumper. Ocampo on the D, no good. Shot clock off. Derek Taylor pass off Ocampo. Fields down to 5 on the shot clock. Drawing more contact. And the whistles continue. Look at the replay. 3 different nights in the vicinity. Reckley Jr. credited with the personal, his first. As talked about earlier, Fields picking up the Defensive Player of the Year for the East Division this season. More changes come in. Quoting Naz Robert back in. Getting back to Fields. 71% for the free throw line, 8.6 points per game. Or 40% from shooting wise. However, he's able to produce 3.1 steals a game in the East Division. With 4 rebounds. Also picked up a few blocks. After the bobble and the free throw, no good. George Brown leads after 3 quarters of play, 55-52. The score. We'll be right back.
You're there for your father. You're there for your wife. You're there for your friend. And we're here for you.
Look over to Niagara's Huddle as they have a tight matchup on their hands. Scoring coming hard to come by as we look at the stats after 3 quarters. George Brown kept below 34% shooting from the field. Look at the free throws, though. Those have ballooned in attempts as a result of the foul trips. 13 of 18 for the Knights, 12 of 14 for the Huskies. Lots of fouls picked up in the third. The turnovers, though, keep in mind, this includes one team known for ball control, has already blown past their average. George Brown and Niagara both passing their averages. Rebounding has been tight. Blocks have been tight. Look at George Brown's steal total, though. A 12-3 difference. That's not a typo. As a matter of fact, it's a 12-4 difference. But that comes off Barry's 3 steals. 2 for Ocampo, 2 for Derek Taylor. And mind you, we haven't seen too much of their big man, DM B2 Komesu, who has 2 to his credit from his 5 minutes of play in the first quarter. Another tight matchup to determine who goes to the semifinals as we get ready for the start of the fourth quarter. 55-52, George Brown. Nassim Berry, 15 points, 11 points. Robert Ocampo. Like Grandison, 13 points, 8 rebounds to lead the way for the Knights. We're back underway. This is Stewart. Screen from Grandison. We're back outside Williams. Williams, kick back out. On the drive, Stewart runs into a Husky and loses the ball. On the defense that time was Dre Barrow with 10 points on the bench in 12 minutes. One with the 2 triples. Lined up with Andre Campbell. Campo. B2 Komesu back into the game. That would stow it away along with Robert. Rounding up the 5, Robert not able to strip it back. Grandison stops sideline, gets it off before the pass out. Taylor tries to cut, knocks down Ocampo on the pass. Move back head for Stewart. Grandison inside the 3-point line up the front of the rim. Tap picked up for a quick pass. Dumped by Campbell. Now up Main Street. Barrow. No good. Put back on the stuff. Robert. Now it's Robert saying hello to the rim. 5-point lead for the Huskies. On the setup. Looking for it's Williams. Move back around again for Lorman. Lorman rejected. Swatted away. B2 Komesu. Barrow runs it forward. Campbell, a long-range 3. No good. Tapped out of bounds. Niagara basketball. Past 90 seconds in the frame. Winner takes on Mohawk tomorrow. There's substitution. Chris Fields in, coming out Barrow. Niagara looking for someone to inbound it to, calling for movements. You see the discussions on the Huskies sideline. The press breaking away from George Brown. Grandison pulls up a contested 3, makes the 3 with a man in his face. 2-point game. Ocampo. Looking around, gives it back and forth. Fields has Robert making motion towards him. Robert trying to open up on the high side. Campbell out of the traffic, finds Ocampo, leaning, dropping for the bucket. Moved up once more by Stewart. Bounce on the Grandison. Grandison the pass. Outside, Williams. Back of the rim, no good. Moved up by Taylor. Now the cut. The drive, it's good. Williams again. Fields. Looks at the zone stick. This has been the scheme utilized much of the day. Roberts has it deflected out his way. And 3/5 of the lineup changes now for George Brown with the stoppage. Amongst those substituted in, Derek Taylor, joined this time by Nazim Taylor. Or Nazim Berry, should say. Also back in is Barrow after a breather of about 30 seconds. Fields looking for some movement. 5 on the shot clock. Down to 3. Down to 1. Fields no good off the back of the rim. Tap out picked up by Taylor. No, dropped. Picked up by Berry. And regroup Derek Taylor. Back to the corner. Nazim Berry, size up. Quick extra pass. Derek Taylor again draws contact. He'll go to the line to shoot 2. Lorman with the 3rd personal. First team foul. Just past 3 minutes into the 4th quarter of this regulation. So to the stripe is Derek Taylor. 9 points entering this quarter. Looking into the double-digit club to be the 4th Husky to do so. And he will. That gives Derek Taylor the double-double. 10 points, 10 rebounds. Love it. 2 steals and 3 assists. Both are good. Inbounds it quick. Williams. Takes it up the timeline. 1-on-1. Larmont moves up to the logo. Williams having to go ISO. Pokes a hole through part of the zone. Move back to Larmont. Williams takes the 3. Short arms it. 3 on the shot clock. And knocked out of bounds with 2 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Campbell on the defense there. Armand off the top, stolen away by Fields. Fields drives, no good. Campbell walks it out of bounds on the rebound. See if there's a whistle for a foul here. See the West Division standings. St. Clair led the way in the West Division this season. 15-3, 14-4, Mohawk, Sheridan, Niagara, Conestoga, Humber, Lambton, all here. Part of the tourney. Play continues, 61-57. Mark Taylor looking, spinning, making the bucket. Fields, Campbell. Giving back to Fields. Back for the high jumper, good. Derek Taylor again. Coming to halfway to the 4th quarter of play. 63-59 Huskies. Grandison dives with Fields. Everybody wants it. Jump ball called. And it looks like back the other direction is the call. Mind you, this is how quick a play can develop. 5 seconds off the clock about here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players all in the huddle. Well, 4 1/4. Okay, 5. Ocampo Muntzel's back in. Fields to Ocampo. Fields had a zone hole, doesn't take it. Ocampo likes to go mid-range, contested, no good. Lorman on the board. And moving over towards near side. Earl steps towards far side, stripped away on the block. But a travel called after the rebound from Nazim Berry. So back to Niagara again. And both teams sort. Inbound here, now it's ready. Grandison off the pump, sheds Field. Larman. Move back around. Off the hop. Williams cut. Out of bounds. Last touch by Berry. 5 still on the shot clock. Long space on the near side of the arc. Grandison, one-on-one, has it stripped by a high-flying Fields for the layup. It's good. Fields trying to work back quick. Niagara trying to work quicker. Larmon, Euro step, too strong. He flies to the baseline. Fields brings it back up. Stewart, too tight. Picks up his 4th personal. Second team foul, and that triggers a timeout for Niagara. 4:37 to go in regulation. The Huskies lead by 6. So far, 10 points picked up by George Brown in the midst of this period. Lambton, meanwhile, in the next period worth of games, will be taking on Sheridan. Another West Division-based matchup in this tourney. Keep in mind when it comes to Sheridan, looking to try and see if they join a historic mark for the head coach of their program and for the organization as a whole. Sheridan looking for their 5th championship in 10 years and their 10th championship in 28 years under their head coach. Both teams finishing up the timeout discussions. Dane with the Mohawk Mountaineers on the other side of this game. Both teams have led for substantial parts of the game, but now it's the matter of who can dictate it for the next 4 minutes and 37 seconds. Out of the timeout, Niagara. Carrying a lineup led by Stewart. He stays in the game despite the foul trouble. Also staying into the game for the Knights. For this period, Mark Taylor, joined by Grandison. Williams, rounding the 5, now at the court, Alino De La Cruz. And check that, they have 6 players on the floor. Larmon was also on there, and now it looks like they'll get the procedure done. So scratch Mark Taylor, put in Lino Del Cruz. George Brown back with it. Campbell. Screen set up by Derek Taylor. Berry. From the double, stripped away. Lino Del Cruz. Del Cruz, pass down low. Larmond drawing a travel. Back the other way. And more changes as Jeremiah Brown comes in. Check that, Jeremiah Brown not put back in yet. He'll stay at the scorer's table. Campo with the screen. Fields. Around Derek Taylor. Taylor taking a 3, missing the 3 off the front of the rim. Picks up his own miss. One pass, no look. Berry trying to step to the right, misses. Del Cruz looking up court through traffic, front of the rim again. Under 4 minutes to play in the 4th quarter. The Huskies still lead by 6. Fields looking to set up with Campbell. Now the low post setup. Barry drive. Barry good. Nassim Barry with the bucket. Barry with 15 points so far tonight. Grandison. One-on-one with Barry. Driving baseline himself. Can't get the lucky roll. Fields looks to get by Stewart. Shed Stewart. Breaks Stewart's ankles for a minute. Back up. And back to reset Ocampo. Fields and Stewart matched up again. Now give it to Campbell. Campbell contested. Rims out. Picked up by Stewart. Stewart looking back. Gives it off to Larmon. Corner open. Pop to the corner. Off the deflection, but out off of Campbell. Now they'll get Jeremiah Brown back into the game. That sub mentioned. Coming out. Barry. Larmon coming back around as well. Our change also coming in. Barrow coming in. Stewart out. Grandison. Deep three. Williams. No good. Pop back to Grandison. Fresh 14 on the clock. Contested. Mark Taylor doesn't go. Trying to hold on to it as Derek Taylor, he does. Fields speeds it ahead. Trying to go with a yo-yo, drawing contact. 2 free throws, the signal. So the call against Mark Taylor is first. 4 personals for Niagara in the quarter, none for George Brown to their credit. Barrow makes the first 2. Well, when he has touched the floor, though, has been very effective today. Seconds no good. Picked up by Fields to keep it going. And now a whistle. And it's a shot clock issue. Reset the shot clock and move it to 12. It originally was at 19. Another change. Barney coming in. And our substitution in turn, followed by a timeout. Coming up to 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. George Brown back up by 9. If you're a fan of defense, you're in the right place. One of the lowest scoring games you may see this entire championship. Mosley working hard to try and find a way to get a spark. Niagara did so several times in the first half, remember. Losing ground, picking up 4 quick points, trimming the gaps in half. Meanwhile, keep in mind, St. Clair, the host of this year's tournament. Saints Nation expected to turn out, especially when it comes to the 8 o'clock game later today. Chance to take on Conestoga, who is led by Dara Ijul Obeng, player of the year of the province. Humber, meanwhile, the first team eliminated. And the faces say it all. .220 to go in the fourth. George Brown up by 9. And a chance to extend the gap here. Fans taking the time to sort things forward. Fields looking to inbound things here. Loaded in the midst of traffic and out of bounds. Niagara basketball. So the Knights work with Eleno Del Cruz. Onside of Barney. Grandison. Also on the court, Stewart rounding at the 5 with the drive is Williams. Bucket is good inside for Eleno Del Cruz. 7 points the difference. Now it's a half-court trap. Trying to pass it between two players. And a trip up with Elena Dela Cruz. That picked up with Jeremiah Brown. Look at this. One push there, one trip up. Top the body. And they have given that to Elena Dela Cruz for a third personal. Once those back in, see there is Barry. 2 minutes to go in the fourth. Campo. Give it to Fields. Back to the corner. Back to Fields. Back-to-back whistles against Elena Dela Cruz's credit. That was the foul to trigger the bonus. So Fields with a chance to grow the gap back to 9 if there's 2 makes here. He's been to the stripe a couple times tonight. Makes the first of 2. Second rattles and drops. Our substitution signaled for Barrow in, Ocampo out. Under 2 minutes to play. Elena Dela Cruz. Give it off. Now it's Williams drawing contact himself to go to the line to shoot for 2. Goes against Derek Taylor. The first personal for George Brown in the quarter. Derek Taylor's third. Campo already being substituted back in for Barrow. Williams, 79.2% from the stripe this season. Second on the team in scoring. Misses the first of 2. Average 13 points per game. He's picked up about 3 boards a game. 13 points tonight. Both are no good. How to pick up his own miss. Barry on that board. Campbell gives it to the corner of Campo. George Brown starting to try and trim the clock. Fields trying to draw the contact. Doesn't get it. And another whistle. Fields with 4 personals. And it looks like Barrow's being put in again. Back up. Dela Cruz, give it up to Grandison. Grandison contested, doesn't drop. Picked up by Barrow. Moved up, fast break. Barry slams it in. 1 minute to go in the fourth quarter of play. Dela Cruz takes the 3. Off the back of the rim. Derek Taylor. Back up baseline. Barrow good. George Brown starting to really put the staples in. The daggers in too. Stewart, no good. George Brown, 40 seconds, making 35 away from an 18th straight victory, including the postseason. They started the year in the losing column. They've won everything since then. Campbell to beat the shot clock, airballs it. Grandison with the shot clock now off. Barney stole it away. George Brown can celebrate. The East only recipient to the championship 8 will play in the semis. 74-61's the final for the Huskies over the Knights. Post-game coverage coming up right after this. You're watching We Digital for the OCAA Men's Basketball Championship from St. Clair College in Windsor, Ontario.
Mont's On-Time Express, established in 2006, strategically based on the border in Windsor, Ontario, offers its services to anyone in Canada or the United States. From minivans to 24-foot straight trucks, we're committed to make any move, big or small, quick and easy for our customers. For bigger loads, accommodations can be made to supply dry vans as well as flatbed trucks. Our highly trained drivers always follow all safety protocols and precautions to ensure your shipments not only arrive on time, but more importantly, safe. Our dispatch is available 24/7, 365, and we constantly have trucks on the move throughout Ontario, Quebec, and the United States. We are strongly supported by a first-class compliance department so that we meet all current regulations on both sides of the border. We use the most updated dispatch software to access and follow our freight wherever it goes. Our trucks are equipped with GPS and cell phone tracking, so you know when your shipment will arrive. Being CSA Fast, PIP, CT-PAT, and SmartWay approved, we can accommodate all of our customers' requests. When it needs to be on time, Mont's On-Time Express.
Just gonna hang out.
If any of your buddies ever pressure you to take a drink, just tell them you promised your dad you wouldn't.
I promise. Love you too, Dad.
They really do hear you. For tips on what to say, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
You're there for your father. You're there for your wife. You're there for your friend. And we're here for you.
The officer found me, and I was bleeding to death.
I was diagnosed with a very rare disease, which basically affects the body's ability to produce blood cells.
I received several blood transfusions from 14 different donors.
It's heartwarming that so many people factored into keeping me alive.
That beautiful gift to give blood, you saved my life.
It only takes a moment of your time, but it means a lifetime of benefit.
Become a blood donor. Visit blood.ca and book an appointment now.
Welcome back to the St. Clair College Sportsplex. We continue our coverage of OCAA Men's Basketball Championship action here on We Digital. Our second quarterfinal game just complete, and one of the heavyweights in this tournament prevails, 74-61. The George Brown Huskies knock off the Niagara Knights. A very relieved head coach, I'm sure,
Yes,
Coach Jason Dawkins. Coach Dawkins, congrats on the win. And, this is a tough game for you guys because you're crossing over.
Yes.
You're the only team from the East here. And you haven't seen a lot of these guys this year. So how tough was it to prepare for this game, and how tough was the game?
Well, I'm going to say, I'm just going to go back to some of your comments there. First off, I'd like to say Niagara, well-fought game, well executed, coached well. Those guys over there played an extremely good game. We had to play our best game to beat them. So it's a good first-round game. But we've been crossing over from last week to this week. How we prepared, pretty much our preseason. We played most of the times on the West, so we're very familiar with them. We're really happy and proud to be representing the East, and hopefully we can do the East proud.
Yeah, absolutely, no question about it. And smart strategy on your part to get some of those out-of-conference or other conference games in. Halftime, you're down by 4 in this game, Coach. What changed in that second half, and what did you say to the guys?
I just want them to be themselves. They're a little bit tight, coming across. So these first games in these quarterfinals are really tough. Emotionally, physically. So physically, they've been taking care of their bodies. Now mentally, they got this one off their back a little bit, so now they can play a little bit more smoother and relax and continue to play together.
Yeah, I mean, you come into this tournament, you're 17-1, you're on a 16-game winning streak. Yeah. Everybody's looking at George Brown like, oh my God, this team's maybe the team to beat. There's a lot on your shoulders here.
Well, I'll say the team to beat is our next opponent. We're not going to look past anybody. We've had a really good season because the guys have really bought in and really executed. Our program is really behind our team. So we've executed because we've put a lot of things in place. And it's a lot of the people that are behind the scenes that really have a lot to do with our success this year.
You alluded to it, Coach. You mentioned the next game is the team to beat.
Yeah.
You know who it is? It's going to be Mohawk.
Yeah.
So quick thoughts on that game? And
we're quite familiar with them. They're quite familiar with us. We played them a couple times. So I think it's going to be a hard-fought game, execution. Basketball IQ is going to come into play, along with the players being themselves and being creative. I think the brand of basketball that we're playing right now on the college level is beautiful. I'm glad people are coming out to watch. So I just keep on entertaining everybody.
You guys are a great team, that's for sure. Great year. Coach, I appreciate your time. Hopefully we get a chance to talk down the road here a little bit.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
All right, that's head coach Jason Dawkins doing a great job with his team. He got him to the next round into the semis. So his team will be back in action tomorrow. As you can see, 3:30 game tomorrow between the Huskies and the Mohawk Mountaineers. That's, as Coach Dawkins just said, going to be a dandy game. We're going to take a break here now at St. Clair College. Our next game, of course, yes, right there, coming up at 6 o'clock. This could be another great matchup, folks. A West Division rival. The 9-9 Lambton Lions will take on the 12-6 Sheridan Bruins. Not much difference between these teams, though. It's going to be a classic game. Come back then. We'll have all the action from it. Right now, we're going to give the crew a little bit of a break. We're going to take a timeout here at the Sportsplex. And when we do return, more OCAA Men's Championship basketball action on We Digital Productions. Take care, everybody.